Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and as some of you may be aware, I began a series from A to Z focusing on the different publishing houses and the tarot decks that they offer. My first video was on Artisan Tarot, and I have since learned that there are other publishing houses that begin with A, but I only have maybe one or two decks from each of those publishing houses. So I'll just do, the next video on the series will just be a collection of the random decks that I have that are also in the A category. But in going through all my decks and trying to find all the publishing houses, I found a deck that falls in the category of decks that I have that I kind of have gotten forgotten about and I pushed aside. And this particular deck is not because I didn't like it. I had a lot of enthusiasm for it when it came out. And this deck is called the Orbifold Tarot. I don't know if I ever did a video on it. It's possible I did, but it's so long ago that it's buried deep. I have over 400 videos, so I can't even find it. So I thought I would just do another video for it. This deck was created by Michael Bridge-Dickson, and the website is www.orbifoldtarot.com. Now, I remember when, I think it was a Kickstarter or it was some kind of public funding kind of platform. And I remember when Michael was campaigning for this deck, and he was so enthusiastic about it, and I really wanted to support him because I really loved the idea of it. So I bought it. I bought the mini size because I do like petite decks, because as you know, I do, my signature spread that some of you may be aware of is a 13 card spread. And so when I use my 13 card spread, especially if I'm taking photographs and sending the videos to the client, I do a video, like this is a video. I do a reading video and I send it to the client. It's helpful to be able to see all the cards in the spread. So that's why I like petite cards when they're available. At any rate, the thing about it when it came out in 2015, I was really impressed by the quality. The quality of this deck was really something. The box is beautiful, very tastefully done. In the well of the box, it says, "Wisdom resides within all." And then there's another instruction to explore the chaotic patterns and rhythms of life's endlessly changing cycles. So it gives you, tips and clues, about what one might expect to find in this deck. And here's the cover. But you can see, I don't know, it's just like top notch. The quality of how this deck is presented is just really beautiful. It came with a fold out, which essentially is 4 pages of instruction. And they are instruction, and it's really all you need. I found that it was really, the instruction on here is really all you need to get started and to let yourself go free with this deck. And then it gave us ideas for each of the elements. He identifies air as thinking and the intellect, fire as action and doing, water, feeling and sensation, and earth, being and experience, which is not unlike many associations that many of us have. So let me flip the camera and we'll take a look at these cards. Now the deck itself is really pretty. Here's the backs. And you can see that the edges are black. Now, this is, as I mentioned, this deck came out in 2015, so it's already almost 10 years old. And I have used it a few times, so we do see that there's a certain amount of wear on the edges, but that's not uncommon for when edges are colored. There's only that one edge that looks like it's gotten roughed up. Now we'll notice throughout the deck that it's like color coded, right? So as the assignation for the Fool, as in many decks, is 0. And he's got like a singularity. Well, actually, I guess it's not a singularity because it's more like a zero would be an emptiness. So I was incorrect in saying that, but here we have more of a singularity indicated by the one. But you'll see that we have hints of, like here, we just have one color, but varying degrees of one color. So it's so faint and then it becomes more saturated on the bottom. The Magician, you'll see we have pieces of almost all the colors, the smallest amount of air, but I think yellow is air, and then fire, and then water, and then earth is green. So we have, to some degree or other, each one of these cards, you see a varying degree of the elements that Dickson Bridge associates with each Michael Dickson Bridge. I apologize. Let me make sure I'm saying his name right. Michael Bridge-Dickson, I apologize. So he shows us the colors that he equates with each of the cards in their varying degrees. And then he gives us a symbol to represent each of the concepts. And some of the images are kind of spot on, like for strength, right? We see this solid form, right? It's a real solid, you get a sense of real solidity there. I think some of them work better than others. I can see this as the wheel for sure. You know, I'm not sure that visually I would look at this and think justice or the Hanged Man, other than this being a vertical. But I do see myself looking at this and saying, yeah, I can see death in that. I can definitely see death. And I can definitely see the devil. So I really love the idea, you know, I really love the idea behind this. Okay, and the Tower, I mean, there are a couple other cards that do have vertical structure, but I can see the Tower in this. I'm not sure that I see the star in this. It's more like a snowflake to me, but I think I can see moon here and sun here. Now there were two cards. I'm not sure where I put them. I put them at the end. The Void and Manifestation, which I'm not sure where they were in the sequence. I no longer remember how Michael Bridge-Dickson sequenced it, but maybe it was in the beginning and maybe it was in the end of the higher order cards, but I can't swear to it. Now we see air is designated yellow, and that each of the pips, if you want to call it that, shows us that this is 1, right? This is 2. We see 3, so we can make sense of that. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the center, 6. And I think there's an association, say, with 7 and 8 being the Chariot, and 42, let's see, 7, oops, what have I done? Let's see. Nope, there goes that theory. But here, like for 8, now I don't see it with the 7, right? But then with the 8, and then we have the 8 of strength, we see a similarity there. So I think that's kind of interesting. So then here we have Page of Air, Page of Swords, which is seemingly, the pages are designated, I guess, like earth, whereas the sword, so it's like earth of air, right? We have fire of air for knights. We have water of air for queens. We have air of air for the kings. So the kings, it seems, are the fully saturated designation of color and suit for each suit. So we have again ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we see their varying degrees, you know, that this is associated with water, right? So the pips seem to be fully entrenched in water. And then again, when we get to the courts, we have earth of water. For pages, we have fire of water. For knights, we have water of water for the queens. The queens are water. And then we have king of water. So no, the king of water is not a fully saturated, you know, he's not fully immersed in his own suit like the king of air was. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have earth of fire, knight of fire. So in this case, it's the knight who's fully immersed in his suit. Queen of fire, king of fire. So he would be air of fire. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Page of earth. So he's fully immersed in earthness. Then we have knight of earth, queen of earth, being water of earth, and then king of earth, which would be air of earth. So I started using it actually with my students to try to, I don't know, briefly, I just introduced it to my students. I didn't expect them to buy the deck or to use it, you know, but I introduced it to my students as, you know, when I used to teach in person, and just show it to them and get into the conversation of the idea of that, you know, the let's see what the second one was. The first suit, we had king, okay, the king, I think it was the second. The water. Oh, it must have been queen. Okay, the queen of water was her fully immersed self. So each one of the court cards has a representation where they're fully immersed. So the queen is fully immersed in the water. I missed that on the first round. But I think it got a little bit confusing, and I wasn't, you know, trying to push it on anybody. I was just trying to show people, you know, there was an alternative way of looking at the cards, and it was a very modern take on the cards, which I thought was very interesting. But at any rate, let's see how it shuffles. Well, it's a bit stiff, but I haven't used this deck very often. Usually when I shuffled it, it was like this, and I usually use this deck in demonstration to try to liberate my students a little bit and get them to think about, the elements and influences, and try, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't know if this deck is even available anymore. I don't know if it's, you know, I don't know. But I do kind of think I kind of always thought it was a cool deck, and it just, I think, just became too confusing, even for me. Well, anyway, I just thought I'd share this deck, and if it fancies, I know it's almost 10 years old, and it's not as mainstream as it once was. When it first came out, everybody was talking about it, but sometimes I think it's okay to revisit decks that people haven't looked at for a while. Let's just pull. Let's just pull a couple cards. I'll think of something, and then I'll pull 3 cards. Alrighty, I thought of a personal thing. There's something my husband and I are challenged with at the moment. And it's kind of a humorous situation. I don't want to get into it too much, but I just want to see what the cards have to say. And if it really makes a lot of sense, I'll share with you what the situation is. But I'll interpret it either way. Whether I share the situation or not. Well, I just want to see what the cards have to say. So we have 10 of water. Okay, put a fork in it. Ace of air. So the end and the beginning. And then we have 4, certain stability. Okay, so now we add 10. And this would be ace and 4 would be 5, so it would be 15. Oh my goodness, the devil. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me pull the devil. And hopefully you don't mind looking at these cards again. Hopefully we're not going too far before we find the devil. Let me pause. All right, here we go with the devil. Well, I think it's very interesting that 2 of these cards are air, which to me suggests like electrical current, energy, And the issue is that we decided to buy an electric car, all electric car. And we were just, thinking like that would be a good thing to do. And we just thought it would be, we just felt that 2 old people need to be moving into the, future. And so we decided to buy an all electric car, which we've had for about 2 months. And this morning was towed off the street. And we know it's like so funny because we know like when we got this electric car, everybody in the neighborhood came over just like a magnet. They came to our house like, oh, wow, look at that. And, we plugged it into our garage and oh my God, this is so cool. And, now we know that everybody's looking at this car as it's being towed up the street. So, it kind of makes me think like, it's a lemon. Oh my God. But, so the water puts out the water. Well, it's not fire. So it's like not water putting out fire, but the water is definitely, what's the word? Tempering the enthusiasm of the, electric car. So, apparently there was a recall for not the primary battery, but a smaller battery, which, makes the windshield wipers, the headlights function, the door unlock. We can't even get into the car because the smaller battery is defective. And we got a recall. And so my husband went in and spent like 8 hours one day at the dealership to get his secondary battery tested to see if it's part of the recall. And they sent him home and they said, no, your battery's not affected. It's in perfect condition. So when we get it home, we sit it in the driveway and it's fully charged. I mean, we have a station in our garage. He couldn't even open the door. Oh my God. So they had to have someone come out here and hook it up and tow it away. So they're going to have to work on it. But I just think it's kind of funny. I mean, it's not really funny. But in the meanwhile, I have a 24-year-old Saturn that's just driving like a charm. So anyway, I think these are an interesting combination of cards considering what the situation is about. Anyway, until next time, friends, peace. Stay well, be kind, and do no harm.